Parliamentary chambers have experienced their own share of passionate arguments, acrimonious clashes, and salacious exposes. But this week, something happened that was unlike anything that has happened in South Africa for years. It was not even a heated argument or the usual tit-for-tat to which the public has become accustomed. This was a turn of events that rattled the political establishment to its core. At the center of it all stood Gayton McKenzie, leader of the Patriotic Alliance, a man known for his blunt rhetoric and theatrical political moves. But this time, even by his standards, the move was staggering. With the eyes of the nation upon him, McKenzie rose before members of parliament and dropped a political bombshell. He claimed to have in his possession an international arrest warrant for none other than President Cyril Ramaphosa. The room was tensed. Gas of shock swept through the chamber. Some MPs were shocked into silence while others started frantically whispering to each other. It's the sort of moment that makes even the most detached observer lean forward and listen. McKenzie, openly knowing the drama he was creating, stood firm with a boldness that charged the whole opposition. The speaker battled to regain order as ANC benches exploded in anger. But before order could be regained, the situation boiled over entirely. Shouting, pointing fingers, and angry exchanges ringed the chamber until the unthinkable occurred. A mass of MPs walked out in a dramatic protest. Their seats scraped back in a synchronized movement, their footsteps rang out, and the message that they conveyed was clear. Parliament was no longer solidly behind its president. The audience, fixated on live reports, barely believed their eyes. The burning question in every mind was basic. What in the world was this so-called arrest warrant? McKenzie said the paper was linked to allegations of illicit international transactions, dubious financial negotiations, and charges that Ramaphosa had broken both South African and foreign law of accountability. The charge was as sensational as it was explosive. By bringing the warrant to Parliament, McKenzie wasn't just attacking Ramaphosa. He was ratcheting up the political struggle to levels no one had ever attempted before. It was a blow against the presidency itself. However realistic or not the warrant was, however symbolic or realistic, the fact that it was in the chamber was enough to destabilize the ANC's tightly held control of the government. The walkout was not merely a demonstration. It was a political earthquake. Opposition MPs took advantage of the moment, chanting and screaming for Ramaphosa's suspension with immediate effect. They declared him unfit to serve as a leader, stipulating that any other democratic country would have a leader resign on the spot in such a situation. There were attempts by some ANC loyalists to defend the president, arguing that the charges were unfounded theatrics. But they were drowned out amidst the tumult. The symbolism of the walkout overrode them. Rows of MPs leaving the chamber indicated not only opposition but outright defiance of Ramaphosa's authority. For average South Africans tuning in at home, the drama was astonishing. It was less like a parliamentary session and more like witnessing a whole government falling apart in front of them. This was not a momentary lapse by Gayton McKenzie. This was a planned assault, one which left the ANC scrambling to recover. McKenzie has long had a reputation as the voice of the disenchanted, the politician who speaks his mind, who says what others don't. But this action took him to a different level. By holding up what he asserted to be a warrant, he confronted the ruling party with a reality they have gone to great lengths to keep at bay. The people are exhausted. Exhausted of scandals, exhausted of excuses, exhausted of watching their leaders shirk responsibility while everyday folk grapple. Experts are extremely polarized. Some charge McKenzie with irresponsibility, with risking the reputation of Parliament by bringing forward what is potentially nothing more than a publicity stunt. Others applaud him as a visionary, shaking at last the political roots of a system long beset by corruption and secrecy. But even detractors concede this. McKenzie has altered the conversation on a national scale. The ANC, which was the beacon of unity and freedom, now seems shaken. For decades, its grip on power seemed irreversible. But these events revealed the fissures within. The walkout showed how deep the divides are, and it has given courage to factions already positioning themselves against Ramaphosa's presidency. Behind closed doors, whispers of discontent are growing louder. Senior ANC members are said to be seething not with McKenzie but with Ramaphosa himself. They claim his leadership has been characterized by one scandal after another, and each successive one more damaging than the previous one. Grassroots supporters, on the other hand, feel increasingly let down by a government in which they once reposed trust. To many of them, McKenzie's theatrics were not irresponsible. They were a relief. And what of the figure at the eye of the storm? Sir Ramaphosa's reaction was as revealing as the outburst itself. Silence. While chaos filled the chamber, he remained calm but failed to make any substantial denial of McKenzie's claims. His critics took his silence as proof of culpability. His defenders saw it as proof of self-control. But to the wider world, it was silence in the face of charges that chilled. Is the president dodging the question because the accusations have merit? Or is he just letting it blow over, waiting for the clamor to die down? Either way, each passing day increases the tension. For a chief who is already having a hard time keeping his credibility intact, the timing could not be worse. The walkout could be just the start. Demands for independent inquiries are getting louder, with opposition leaders saying Parliament cannot just go back to business as usual. Out of government buildings, whispers are circulating of mass protest and civil action. The ANC now has not only to defend its president but to defend its legitimacy as a ruling party. Then there is Gayton McKenzie himself. 4 years a political outsider, he has now solidified his position in the mainstream. Love him or hate him, his boldness has redefined the political terrain. Opposition parties view him as a rallying point, and even some angry ANC members quietly concede that his message connects with the people. Whether or not the so-called warrant amounts to anything in law, one thing is certain, that South African politics have come to a crossroads. This was not another ordinary day at Parliament. It was a moment of destiny, one that will be remembered for decades to come. The warrant symbol, the theatrics of the walkout, and the eerie silence of the president have come together to change the national landscape. South Africa stands at a crossroads today. One way is toward accountability, reform, and leadership that can be trusted again. The other way is further into chaos, mistrust, and divisions. And so the question still is, will Ramaphosa face the storm head-on, or will he shy away in silence as his presidency falls apart?